So welcome to the team. My name there, you can see, is Daniel Davis, and I'm at the bottom line of that diagram that you see, and I lead on teaching and learning and pedagogy, and as well manage the curriculum. I manage the curriculum for Wales PL Network. Plus, I work with NPEP Research and Inquiry, supporting the schools with regards to that, and support also in the Welsh medium school support. The assistant director then, who leads strategically for this team, is Deb Woodward. She's unable to be with us this morning, but she is our team lead, and obviously you can see on the screen there that she has the overall responsibility for leadership and pedagogy, the SLO, Schools Learning Organisation, talent management, and the teaching and learning remit within the EAS. With me this morning are my colleagues from the team, so I let them introduce themselves, and we'll start with Adelaide. Adelaide?
Yeah, diolch Dan. So yes, Adelaide Dunn, and I take responsibility for the leadership aspect of our team. So that includes middle leaders, senior leaders, aspiring head teachers, and then the MPQH process, also new and acting head teachers and the experienced head teacher programme. And I also support with the national coaching and mentoring programme alongside that as well. So those are the sort of areas I cover, but as a team we all help each other out with different bits and pieces, but I'm usually the person to come to if you've got any questions or queries around any of those things. And I'll hand over to Rachel now.
Thanks Adelaide. Buenos Aires everybody, it's lovely to see you this morning. Yeah, I'm Rachel Cowell, and I lead on the TALP across the region. So that's the induction for newly appointed teaching assistants, practicing teaching assistants, aspiring HLTA and HLT assessment. I also work on the leadership, so mostly with the middle leadership development programme, and I also do some of the coaching and mentoring as well. So it's lovely to see you all this morning. I'm going to pass over to Hannah.
Thank you all. Yeah, good morning everyone. So I work within initial teacher education across the region, so supporting our ITE partner institutions as well as all our schools in the region that are involved in those partnerships. And I also do a lot of work with NQTs in our region, supporting the induction process, so supporting the NQTs, the induction mentors within schools, and the external verifiers that quality assure the induction process. So we hope today will be very useful for you, and I'm going to hand you back to Dan, I think, to take you through the rest of the session now.
Thanks to the team, and any queries you have, please feel free to contact us, either via the team or via our email addresses.
Okay, so I'm just going to share with you the aims of the session today. So it's just to provide some guidance for you on undertaking your role as a Curriculum for Wales professional learning school, obviously when working on behalf of the EAS. And throughout the session today, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the national and the regional context, your role and the work plan, and there's some core activities that form part of that work plan, and also an optional menu. And we're also going to talk through some of the policies and the safeguarding procedures that you need to be aware of as the lead. Okay, thanks Adelaide. So you'll see this slide, it will pop up a few times throughout the session today, and it literally is, as it says on the tin, an opportunity for you to think about the information that we've shared with you, and think if you have any questions or observations, then obviously it's given you an opportunity at that point to ask or reflect on things that we've said. If you have any questions as you're going through, you know, as usual, just pop them in the chat, but you'll see this slide is slotted in quite a few times throughout today's session, just to give you that opportunity. Okay. Thanks, Adelaide. Oh, I'm going to pass over to Adelaide. There we go.
So just a reminder really, so obviously this is a induction session for any new schools, but we also said it was anybody was welcome to come along if they wanted to have a quick refresher, so any of our existing schools already. So you might have seen this slide before from Simon Breakspear, but just reflecting on the experiences you might take away from today's session. So there might be something new that you are working on, or are new to you in terms of the professional learning role that you're taking on. Some of it might be familiar to you, and some of it you think, oh, actually, yeah, I've got to reconnect with that, or doing bits and pieces. And some of you might be experienced PL schools, just having a catch up, but it would be great that you can provide that support, particularly to our new members of the team as well. So just some of the experiences you might have from today's session. Right, so just to give you a little bit of context around the EAS itself. In terms of the role that we undertake, we work in partnership with you. As Julie has been saying to lots of us at the moment, you are us, which is a bit like the Toys R Us link, I think, but in terms of the role that you undertake really supports and underpins the work that goes on across the region. We're investing in building that capacity of schools and education settings across our region, and we have been doing so for a number of years to really enable that collaborative ways of working, and you form a really crucial part of that, undertaking the role as a PL lead school. And it's an opportunity for teachers and leaders to learn from each other, try out new approaches and engage with the educational research and the national picture and things that are going on at the moment. And within our region, we already have a number of well-established networks, and our PL lead schools are one of those. So it's great that those of you who are joining that network are coming on board. And the aim of that network is to continue that professional practice and then continue to ensure that we are building up that capacity and collaborative ways of working. So on the other side of the slide there, you can see the values of the EAS. When you are undertaking your role as a PL lead school for the EAS, you are working and representing the EAS itself. And so therefore, we would ask that you familiarise yourselves with those values and ensure that when you are working on behalf of the EAS, that you are supportive and demonstrating those values alongside us as well. So they're just on the screen there for you to be familiarised with. In terms of the rationale, in terms of the work that we do, particularly as PL lead schools, we work under, I'm sure you're very familiar with, the national mission, but it talks about the importance of that high quality education workforce that is vibrant, engaged and committed to continuous learning for all. And that really does underpin the work that we do as a professional learning team, but also the work that you will do as a professional learning lead school as well, and the way that you will support that collaborative working across the region too. So just a reminder of the context of where we're coming from really. And I'm going to hand over to Dan now, who's just going to talk through the models that we work under as professional lead schools, and hopefully that will give you a further context around that as well.
Okay, just I hope many of you have seen this this diagram before, and it sort of illustrates the way that we hope we want to work as a region with yourselves as our professional learning schools and other schools that form part of our network to support the system. So, you know, in the middle there, we have that excellence in teaching and leadership framework, which is the basis for the work that we carry out. And, you know, it's a checkpoint for us to self-evaluate against sort of how schools are performing and how individual teachers are performing and how leaders are performing, and it's also linked to those national standards. We then have our clusters of schools. Of course, you should all know what cluster you're in, and then in each one of those schools there should be a school-based professional learning lead, yeah, and these clusters meet at a half-termly basis following our and we'll go over that later, following our regional professional learning network. So that's each there are, if I remember, serves me correctly, around 30 clusters across the region, and they meet then every half term as professional learning leads. Now on this side of the diagram over here, I'm not pointing at the screen, you can see curriculum pioneers and professional learning pioneers. Now thanks Adelaide, they used to be called curriculum pioneers and professional learning pioneers. Now that's quite old wording for the moment. For now, we now call them lead professional learning schools, partner professional learning schools, and associate professional learning schools. There's 3 tiers to schools, but you then are the people who attend the regional professional learning network meeting and disseminate that information then to your cluster. And you can see that arrow there going from that meeting almost to that cluster. So it's really about you taking ownership of the messages that we give in our regional network and pass those on to your clusters. Then around this diagram, then of course we at the bottom you can see learning network schools. That notion that school-to-school support, that you might have a learning network school that's leading on literacy, for example, and would support the school Plus we have Schools Research Network and the professional learning offer that's available to all within our region. And as well, as you can see, those schools as learning organisation is sort of an umbrella that's leading everything that we do within our region, really, and so to improve our system. So I hope you can see there. And it was a busy diagram, but what we're trying to achieve by that we have those sort of, we meet as a professional learning network, but we also support a cluster with our professional learning lead. Next slide, please, Adelaide. This then is what's available to all schools within our region. So I'll start at the bottom of that triangle pyramid. There is that that universal offer. So things that are available to all schools within the region. You know, things like Rachel alluded to earlier, the teaching assistant, induction teaching assistant, practicing teaching assistant program, aspiring HLTA, middle leadership program, NQT provision, leadership leadership programs at Adelaide's gone. That's a universal offer that we offer for everything across the system. Okay, and then the SIP there is a school improvement partner. They used to be called the challenge advisor, now called the school improvement partner. The notion that we're working together to improve the schools, and they have a number of days that the SIP can support the school, and also they can access that universal offer. Okay. The SIP then, in consultation with the school, can offer some targeted support, and it might be that you get support from LNS schools, so school-to-school work, you might have peer work, or you might have some more support from the school improvement partner. And then right at the top there, school to possibly need more support can have some bespoke and tailored support for the school at the top end of that pyramid. But that just shows the way that that we see and envision the support happening. So when we do offer programs, we offer them at those sort of different levels. It's either universal, targeted, or bespoke support. And you can see at the bottom there, when the SIP is meeting with the school, there's a partnership professional discussion, CSSR style, that happened last year, that can focus the school development priorities and the self-evaluation focus. So hopefully that builds into, okay, what universal support can the school offer, or what need to access, and what targeted support can we facilitate, and possibly then, if the school's in greater need, to bespoke support. Thanks. Next slide, please, Adelaide. Then within our region, there's 5 ways we envisage that schools can work together. There's, of course, that geographical cluster working that we alluded to on that original diagram. But there could be peer working, where peers work across clusters even. And there could be even self-chosen networks as well, that some people could, well, I want to work with this school across the region. And sometimes it's good to hear those voices coming. There's that core offer, that's a universal offer really, that we discussed now, and the professional learning experiences they can attract. But also there's that learning network schools, where that school-to-school support model can happen for specific schools, but in targeted and bespoke level of support. Okay. Right, I've whizzed through those diagrams. As I said, the next slide is to stop and think. Gone through any diagrams. Happy for anyone to come off mute if they want to, or raise their hand, or any questions regarding those models or the values that Adelaide alluded to earlier.
Thanks, Dan. So Dan has taken you through there the kind of levels of working that we have across the region. So I'm going to take you through now kind of which schools are involved at either a lead level, or a associate level, or a partner level. So on the screen now you can see the lists of schools across our region that have those statuses attached to them. So hopefully you'll be able to spot your school on that list somewhere along the lines. And that really is in terms of the amount of commitment your school is given, in terms of what you are able to facilitate and what you're able to support across the region in terms of your capacity. So on the screen now, like I said, you can see the lead learning schools and the professional learning partner schools. And if we go on to the next slide, you'll see them broken down then by local authority. So you can see within which LA has got the lead schools, the partner schools, and the associate schools then through. And just highlighted there are some of the new schools, and I can see lots of you in this call today that have joined us more recently in terms of supporting this work plan moving forward. So if you are a lead school, or if you are an associate or a partner school, you have a different level of core commitment in terms of what your school has signed up to support the facilitation of moving forward. So on your screen now you can see, and it is quite small, but we will share this with you moving forward, but you can see the core work plan. So if you are a lead school, your school has received funding to engage in approximately around 75 days of professional learning support. So this could be engagement and support of the sessions that we are providing. So it runs right through the whole spectrum of the professional learning offer. So right from the TALP programmes through to national NPET programmes, and there are some common themes that run right the way through. So no matter if you're a lead school or an associate school, some of you will be involved in all of those work streams. And then there are some additional roles in terms of a lead school or a regional professional learning partner school. So you can see the work plan is bigger for the lead schools and then slightly condenses down in terms of those core programmes you are supporting. And what we're going to do as we go through today's session is we'll just highlight a few of those areas, and we'll talk you through actually what that role entails in terms of each of those areas listed on that core work programme. So they're all the things that you are expected to engage in or facilitate as part of your status in terms of lead, partner or associate school. On the next slide then, as well as that core work option, there is an optional menu to support the core work. So you may choose from any of the following areas you can see listed on there as a school to support some of these areas. So you won't have to support all of them, but this is where perhaps you know your expertise lies as a school and you may wish to support these programmes. So for example, the NQT professional learning programme may be an area that you're interested in as a school, and you can choose from that optional menu to support that moving forward. Thank you, Adelaide. Like I said, we will take you through each of these areas in slightly more detail as we move forward. And I think now I'm going to hand over to Adelaide. Did you want to come in there, Dan?
I just don't think it's possibly a stop and think there. Is anyone not sure of what school level they are at? Of that slide, I think if we went back to slide 16, yeah. I think that one, with the highlighted schools there, the ones there, they are the new schools that have recently joined us, and they are the associate schools. Okay, so that's the level of the commitment that those schools are. Is everyone okay with an emoji of knowing what school they are and what level they're expected? Could we have an emoji perhaps? All right, if anyone's not sure, please ask. There we are. Okay, so we all know which schools and that which line of that sort of. So if we go back to the slide 17, Adelaide, so when the whole session now is going to be going through, or the next slide, sorry, Adelaide, is going through, okay, the one on the left hand side there, as you look at it, is your is the lead school, what's the commitments expected from them, then the partner school in the middle, and the associate on the right there. So we just, the rest of the session really, we're going to look at the website, but the rest of the session is all going to be focusing upon, okay, what's expected in each one of those for each one of those schools. Okay, all right, Adelaide, back to you.
Yes, diolch Dan. So we also thought it would just be a good opportunity just to share with you how to get to the Supporting Our Schools website. I'm sure you're hopefully familiar with it, but just in case you need to share this with your cluster schools particularly, but it is, for want of a better phrase, the one-stop shop to come and get everything that you need in terms of finding out about any of the national programmes, finding out any of the areas of work that we've already outlined, application links, links to join teams and so on. So I'm just going to take you through the website and show you where and how to access things. So you might have a Google site link to the Supporting Our Schools website, but it can be accessed from the main EAS website. So just if you type into Google EAS Supporting Our Schools, it will always bring you to this main EAS website, and the address for that is just at the top here. And then when you land on the first page, when you come to the main EAS website, it says Supporting Our Schools, and then Find Out More is the link that will take you to the website itself. So clicking on Find Out More will bring you to the Google site. So you might already have that link up there, but if you don't, it's always the easiest way to get to it is just go to the main EAS website, and the first page, like I said, the landing page takes you straight to it. So obviously you can choose Cymraeg or English, depending on your medium that you work in. And then here is the like I said, the one-stop shop to find everything that you need. One of the things I wanted to show to you before we go to our professional learning page, where all of our team's work sits, is just to signpost to you the professional learning calendar. So any of the sessions that are running, the professional learning calendar is available here, and you click on the professional learning calendar, and then it will open up everything that is happening on that day, and also the links to access it as well. So for example, these are all next week. So next week we've got, I know Mick Waters coming to do a Curriculum for Wales session. So the access to join it is the link here. It tells you what time it is, and it tells you what type of professional learning it is. So that's the place to signpost your schools to as well, and the one-stop shop to find out what's on that day and how to access it or link to it. And these links will either bring you straight to a meeting, or depending on where they are, it'll take you to a request to join those team spaces as well. So that's the place to come and find any of the professional learning. So in terms of our work, so all of the other teams all have pages on here, but our work sits under professional learning for well, it should say teaching and leadership. We need to change that sign there. And then we have a tile for each of the areas that we've talked about. So if you need to find out anything about initial teacher education, so I see Kerry, you've popped a question in the chat. Can you turn up to meetings without booking? So there is no booking system as such to come to any meetings. You just need to go to that professional learning calendar and click on the link that's there, and it will either, depending on the type of learning it is, so if it's a national programme, for example, it will send a request through to join the team, and then you will then have access to the meeting through the team. If it's an A category, that's direct linked to an open meeting, so it will take you straight to that meeting link. So there's no requirement to book in terms of accessing those things. The only difference would be if you're on a national programme, for example, you would only be accepted into that team if you put a request through, if you're already accepted in terms of an application onto that programme. So if you wanted to join the senior leader programme, for example, you wouldn't be able to just click on it and get straight into a session. It would send a request for you to join that team, and then obviously if you're not and you've not applied to take part in that programme yet, you wouldn't be accepted onto the team, and you'd need to make an application to those programmes. So I hope that helps answer the question, but if it's not clear, please let me know and I'll come back to it. So all the tiles are here in terms of links to all of our areas. So like Hannah obviously has the initial teacher education. So again, all the latest information from ITE partnerships are here. And I'm sure many of you are already partnership schools and know about that, but all the information, like I said, can be found here. And each of them have got a page that tells you a little bit more about each of their partnerships too. And also lets you know which schools are working with them as partnership schools. So a really useful one-stop shop for each of the partners there in terms of the ITE. Then we've also got a teaching assistants page. So again, as Rachel said, we've got a network for them. The way to join that network is here. So there's the code as well. There's a video on how to join a Microsoft team if they're not sure. The contact name for the lead person of that, which obviously is Rachel. In terms of the newly appointed teaching assistants programme, you can register to receive a link here, and then the link is available there. It tells you also information all about the Aspiring HLTA programme, and then again, if you want to apply to that, there's a link to apply here. So it really is a one-stop shop for all of those kind of things. In terms of newly qualified teachers or your NQTs, we've also got a page that covers all of that information. Got your welcome from Jeremy Miles at the top. We've got a national NQT PL team, so we now have that national offer, so that's the link that NQTs come to request to join it. But similarly, if they went through the professional learning calendar, it would also send them a link to join that team if they wanted to join one of those sessions. And then all the dates are available here. Also information for induction mentors, links to the EWC form, or again the training there, the team for them to join, link to register as an induction mentor, external verifier information, and the same to join the team or to register as an external verifier, and all the dates and bits and pieces are there. So all of that information sits in those pages there. In terms of teaching and learning, so this is where Dan is working within this area at the moment. We've also got a number of our lead partners schools who undertake some of our other programmes, like Alevi, for example. So we've got Tredegar and Cardiff High, so information about the Alevi programme is there. And we've also got just down here as well, our walkthroughs, which Hailsy are currently working through on a pilot as well, and all the information on how to access those programs are there. And again, Dan's your man if you want to find out a bit more about all of those. Also back on the main page again, we've got our leadership page. So this is the National Leadership Pathway, and I explained all of the programs we talked about before. So there's the leaflet over there that gives you an overview of all the programs, information about the program, and then the link to apply, and then the contacts for that. The same for the National Senior Leader Programme, information about the programme, again the link to apply. Similarly again for the Aspiring Head Teacher, information about the programme, and again we've had briefing sessions this week and also links to apply. And that's the same for all of the programmes in terms of the leadership pathway, so all of that information is there. We also have some regional networks for people, so the Senior Leader Network, again, link to join that network team there. Same with our Deputy Head and Assistant Head Teacher Network. And then we also have some regional programmes, so we've got the Talent Management Framework, which many of you are involved in as well. But again, you can find out more information about it here. And the Inspirational Leaders Network, which is linked to the Talent Management Framework. And we're also running an Agile Leadership pilot at the moment, so there's also information about that here. So hopefully, again, like I said, one-stop shop to show you where everything is, and this is where your cluster schools can also come to access any applications for those things. Research and inquiry, so this will be the NCEA, which Dan is going to talk to you a little bit later on and tell you a little bit more information about, but also it's the NPEP, the National Professional Inquiry Project information is all here. And again, all the schools that have been involved, and again, each of these links to the school's research projects that they've been undertaking. So a great place to come and visit and have a look at some of the research projects that have happened, particularly if you're going to be getting involved in those too as a new school too. So a great place to come and access all of those. Okay, just the last couple of slides, last couple of tiles to take you through coaching and mentoring. So again, if people are interested in accessing the coaching and mentoring project, this is the place to come to. Tells you a little bit about the National Coaching and Mentoring offer, and also there's a link here as well to apply for a place. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that later on as well. Also, we have links to the SLO. So if people have any questions about SLO, about accessing the survey or getting your information, again, all the information about the SLO is here. Information on how to access it is here. Links to share with your team, link to the hub page and tips and so on. So all of that information is available for you there. And then finally, we've got the National Professional Learning Updates page. So it just keeps you up to date with all the sort of national context around particularly professional learning. So we've got the professional learning journey, as Dan talked about earlier, the NPEP, and then we've also got NCEA. There's a number of policy insight events that the Welsh Government run. So again, all of those things are accessed from here as well. So it's a place to come. And then there's also the Talk Pedagogy project. Again, Dan's working with that at the moment. And so there's links to all of that available on the page too. So that's a very whistle-stop tour through our website and how to access it. But like I said, if you put EAS supporting our schools into Google, it will always take you to the main EAS page, and you simply just need to click on the Find Out More button and it will bring you to all of that information. And like I said, it's that one-stop shop for schools to go to for access information about any programmes and access to apply or join any of the relevant teams as well. So hopefully that was a helpful quick tour through the website, and I'm going to use that as a moment to do a stop and think and just check if anybody's got any further questions about that, or how to access things, or where to signpost to.
Okay, thanks, Adelaide. So as I said, this is going to be the basis of the rest of the presentation, really. Just looking at the work plan, and we're just going to come back to this slide several times and just highlight different areas that each level, then what it actually means on the ground to be delivering that area. Okay, so first of all, we have, as I mentioned earlier on in that diagram, we have our regional professional learning meetings, and then I think we have those on the first week of term, and around the third or fourth week of term, then every half term, sorry, you have a meeting with your cluster where you disseminate that information. Okay, and we'd like it, so go to the next slide, please, Adelaide. So as I said, then in the week 1 or 2 every half term, the regional professional PL schools meet. So we all meet as a regional, and we all come together and we sort of share a PowerPoint that then you can then share with your cluster. Okay. In week 3 and 4, the PL leads meet with their cluster, with each of those PL leads that are in each cluster. And in week 5, 4 and 6, you can see that diagram. The school PL leads update back at school and carry out any associate CU. Curriculum engagement. I say, what's CU stand for, Adelaide? Did anyone got that one? That's throwing me that as CU.
Curriculum update.
I was just going to say curriculum update.
we should have the curriculum updates, yeah. And then the PL heads gather feedback at the end of half term with own school, and we begin the process again the following half term. Okay, so that's a cycle. That's every half term. So basically, you meet with us at week 1 and 2, and in week 3 and 4, we disseminate that back then to your cluster. If please, on the left-hand side there, we have members of the team that when you are having your cluster meetings, if you could invite those members of the team there that are linked then to each of the local authorities or the Welsh medium schools in my case. If you could invite us to our meeting, if we can attend, we would like to attend just to see and support you really in facilitating that session. Okay, if we are able to attend. So please do that. Okay, right, the next thing we're going to look at really, as I said, is highlighted there, is the National Professional Project NPEP Lead Inquiry Schools. Or before I go on to that, can I go back a slide, please, Adelaide? What I'm saying is, in some clusters, you may have a PL lead, yeah? So a lead professional in a school and an associate school. For example, I know in Ystrad we have Ystrad Primary as well as Lewis Pengham. So in that case, we'd expect the lead to take the lead in that case, and I suppose the associate to support. But if you could both attend those meetings and help facilitate that PL network meeting between you, but I'd imagine that the lead would take the lead in that case. Okay, thanks, Adelaide. Back to that slide. So right now we're going to look at the next strand of that sort of core offer that the core work that's expected then for the lead, for the partner, and for the associate is the National Professional Inquiry Project. Okay, the NPEP. Okay, so this is, as it says in the tin, it's a National Professional Inquiry Project. So then it's expected that you take part in inquiry within your own school setting. Okay, so just to give a feedback, a bit of context to this, it started in 2018, 2019 with the pilot and an early development. It just included the lead inquiry schools. Okay, they were all the old professional learning schools, in honest, but they named the lead inquiry schools. So they had phase 1 piloting and development, phase 2 was consolidation and enrichment, and that just remained with the lead inquiry schools. Phase 3 then, which was began last year and is ongoing this year, is sort of the expansion and further development. So it's included the lead inquiry schools and the partner inquiry schools. Okay, so the lead inquiry schools are supported by Cardiff Met with their inquiry, and the partner inquiry schools are supported by the lead inquiry schools who've had 2 years experience of doing inquiry and the University of South Wales. Then we also meet every half term for a focus on the National Professional Inquiry Programme on NPEP. Okay, just every half term the NPEP leads meet also, because sometimes the professional learning lead is different to the NPEP lead. I'm not going to go back to the SOS website, the Supporting Our Schools website, but there is an inquiry research page there where you can access all the research that each school has done. And if you just click on those research, then it takes you then, for example, to what Glanysg have done, or Ystrad have done, or Ysgol Gramaic Philly have done. It takes you exactly to what their inquiry was for the last year. So if you're new to this school, new as a professional learning school, might be just an opportunity to go to that Supporting Our Schools website, look what it says on an inquiry, and see what other schools have done in their inquiry to see what's in front of us. Okay, but we will be having regional NPEP meetings just to focus on that as the term goes ahead. These will be allocated once we have the core brief from Welsh Government, which is due the end of this month. Okay, and I think, am I on the next one as well? Oh, I'm passing to Rachel. Rachel?
Diolch, Dan. Okay, for the next couple of slides, we're just going to have a little look at HLTA assessor role and promote the support and the promotion and rollout of the TALP across the region, and what that looks like for you guys as lead, partner or associate schools. So the first one we're going to have a little look at is a trained assessor for the HLTA programme. So what we're asking for is that we get at least one person from your school who will train as an assessor. So when the participants have completed the Aspiring HLTA programme, you will be an assessor. If they're going forward for assessment for HLTA, you would become an assessor for that. And on here, just some information about that and the role. The National Training for New Assessors will be 3 half-days online, update training on a regular basis. You would have a minimum of 2 assessments to do, so 2 candidates basically. Attend regional moderation to have a look at the assessments that have been done across the region, and to commit to participating in the HLTA assessment programme for the next few years. It's open to senior leaders, teachers or HLTAs. And there's an application form there. So that's one of the aspects of the core programme, certainly for the lead and the partner schools. And it is optional there for the associate schools. Okay, it's just some information on that. And then the next slide then is just looking at the teaching assistant learning pathway and where you can support with that. So at the moment we've got obviously the network for all the TAs, which we'd like all TAs to be a member of. So if you can plug that across your cluster within your own school and across the cluster, just to make sure TAs are aware of it and, you know, to join that network team, to join the team. One of the programs we've got then is Induction for Newly Appointed. That's online and it's on demand. OK, so there's no sort of facilitation for that one. But the Practicing Teaching Assistant programme, if you come to the Train the Trainer session, so I've run Train the Trainer for modules 3 and 4 this week. Dan did sessions 1 and 2 before summer. Well, I'll run them again after half term. So if you want to send somebody yourself or somebody along to train on how to facilitate the Practicing Teaching Assistant programme back at school for all of your TAs or for TAs across your cluster, that's one of the aspects on the core work plan, is to be able to facilitate that or support the facilitation for that. Aspiring HLTA, as it says, round for applications are open and close on the 12th of November, but it's the HLTA assessor role that is, again, as I've said, part of the work plan for you. Okay, thanks, Adelaide. Oh, pass on to Hannah.
Thanks, Rach. So I'm going to take you through now the statutory induction role, and Adelaide showed you earlier on the Supporting Our Schools website where you can find that information for supporting NQTs. So there's kind of 3 phases really in terms of that support. So the NQTs themselves, we run a national professional learning programme for our NQTs, and schools can get involved in the facilitation of those sessions and supporting that facilitation. Then there's induction mentors, which sit within all schools, and we recommend that all schools have a trained induction mentor, because even if you don't have an NQT at the start of the summer, at the start of the term, there may well be one that joins you throughout the academic year. And then finally, the external verifier role. Now, this is a role that is open to every school, and certainly to you as lead, partner and associate schools, we would like you to train an external verifier. So this is a professional learning opportunity for any senior member of staff and experienced members of staff you may have to quality assure the induction process for NQTs. So it involves at the moment virtual meetings with the NQT and the induction mentor, whereby you support them in terms of looking at the targets that have been set, reviewing their professional learning experiences, talking to the mentor about the progress the NQT is making, and just ensuring that that induction process is being followed and that NQT is receiving the support they should be in terms of having a successful induction process. So we would like you, if you haven't yet, to sign up to train those external verifiers. It's worth noting this year that if you have been an external verifier before, there's just a 1 hour update session for you to attend. So it's a condensed, shorter session where we'll just give you the key changes to the role. If you're new to the external verifier role, or if you're a school that would like to train up some additional external verifiers, there's no limit to the number of external verifiers you can train. So there's a 2 hour session for them to attend as well. And it is worth noting that it's an annual update, so we do expect external verifiers that are hoping to continue in this role to attend those update sessions, just so we can make sure you're aware of the key changes moving forward. So thank you, and I think I'm handing you over to Adelaide now.
Yeah, lovely, thanks Hannah. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the National Coaching and Mentoring Programme, and again the expectations around the work plan for you for that. So as you can see there, we're looking for at least 2 trained facilitator coaches in our lead schools, 1 particularly in our partner schools, and then again it's an optional opportunity for our associate schools. And this is the training as the facilitator, which is provided by an external provider called RDG. And then alongside that then is the expectation to provide some support for the National Coaching and Mentoring Programme. So the facilitation of the rollout of the programme to leaders at all levels as well. So we've currently got some of those in progress at the moment. And some of our people who have already undertaken the RDG facilitator training are facilitating, supporting on the delivery of those cohorts. So what we would ask is that if you have had the RDD training as a facilitator coach already, is that you would complete the form, the link is on the slide there, to say that you'd be happy to support a facilitation of a cohort. So for example, we'll be hoping to start a middle leaders cohort shortly. So if you would be happy to support delivery of the programme for the middle leaders, then you could indicate that on that form. Head teachers cohorts, deputy head teacher cohorts, senior leader cohorts, and so on. If you haven't yet trained somebody in your school with RDG as a train the trainer of the facilitator, we have got a couple of places left at the moment for training, which is about to commence in October and November. So if you have got somebody in your school that you think actually could undertake that training, please get in touch with me as soon as possible, and then I can see if we can find a place for them on the up and coming training. There is a commitment of a half a day a week for 6 sessions, and then you will be fully trained then to be able to facilitate and deliver the programme across the region. And so then following that, then there will be a commitment to support the delivery of that. And currently the delivery is 10 sessions run over 1.5 hours. And again, the facilitation team will agree a sort of a timescale around that, but we sort of deliver it over a term at the moment. And we currently have cohorts in progress. Like I said, if you have got trained trainers in your school at the moment who took part in the training in autumn and spring last academic year, please let us know any cohorts that they'd be happy to support facilitation of. And as I said, if you haven't yet got anybody trained, please get in contact with me ASAP, and I will see if I can get them a place on the next programme starting. So just for you to be aware of that, really, from that point of view. And then the other aspect to the work plan is engagement and support in one national leadership programme. So that's facilitation, and then those are optional at the moment for our regional and partner and associate schools. And also alongside the leadership programmes, we also look for coaches or leadership coaches to support alongside that role. So those people who've undertaken the coaching mentoring training have found it really useful to support a programme to be able to put into practice some of the skills they've been learning. So again, an opportunity for you to be a part of that as well. So what I would ask is on this slide, just to sort of explain to you where and how you can support. So the National Middle Leadership Programme is currently delivered online, and that's 10 sessions across a period of time. And again, you don't have to support in every single module, and you can support in different aspects alongside the facilitation of that. We will meet with you as a team. If you haven't facilitated or delivered on any of the national programmes before, we will provide you with some facilitator training so you can become familiar with the programme. We also provide support because at the moment it is delivered online, so we provide support around delivery online as well. We'll have meetings with you and planning sessions before you deliver to any cohorts too. So there is a package of support around facilitating of these programmes. Like I said, at the moment, they currently run online. So the Middle Leader Programme and the Senior Leader Programme, if you're interested in supporting, facilitating of that, there's a form link on the bottom of this slide, and you just complete that to let us know in which leadership programme you'd be happy to support in and in what capacity. So as you can see there, the Middle Leader Programme, the Senior Leader Programme, and again the Aspiring Head Teacher Programme, if any head teachers in your schools would be happy to support or facilitate on that. Also MPQH assessment, we require panel members for as head teachers, you can register for that. And like I said at the bottom there, that National Coaching and Mentoring Programme, so anybody that's undertaken the RDD Train the Trainer, you can support on those programmes. So that link on that form just lists all of the different programmes to you, what's available in terms of support, and then once you've registered on there, then we'll be in touch with you when we've got some cohorts ready to start on any of the programmes, and then like I said, we'll do some training sessions with you and support around the facilitation of that. I know we've got a couple of people. So Lucy, for example, at John Frost has already been supporting on our senior leadership programme, so I'm sure she'll tell you it's a really exciting and positive experience. And I know Kerry's been supporting delivering the Middle Leader Programme and so on. So your input and support to delivering those programmes is really key, and you'll get a lot out of that as a professional learning opportunity for yourselves, as much as the participants who take part get out of it from hearing about your experiences as well. So really good opportunity to get involved. So I would say sign up. And I'm going to hand back to Dan now, who's just going to talk to you about an overview of the other bits and pieces on the work plan.
Okay, so this is the last slide for the stop and think, so don't worry, we're going to stop and think after this one. Okay, so this is just this slide, as it says on the bottom of the right hand side of your screen, is promote and engage. So not necessarily things that you need to deliver, but things that we really want you to promote within your clusters and as a school that you engage with. So then you're, as a school, as a lead professional learning school or a partner associate, you're able to have that knowledge within your school. The first and it's the same here for everyone, be it partner, lead or associate, lead, partner or associate. So first of all, the National Curriculum for Wales Professional Learning Programme. This is a programme currently run for head teachers, of senior leaders, but it will be filtering down for middle leaders, teachers and teaching assistants. So really get people in your schools to engage with that, so we're able to sort of enact the new curriculum, that we had that professional learning as a base for them. Okay, so we'd like to see that you're engaged with those programs if possible. Support for the Regional Teaching and Learning Network. So we have a Regional Teaching and Learning Network. It used to be the blended learning network, but it's actually going to morph that into a teaching and learning network. So engage with the conversation when we have those meetings. How can we sort of facilitate the development of pedagogy and teaching and learning across a region? Also, there's a National Talk Pedagogy project, and we will be offering this sort of a regional element to that, where we'll bring practitioners together just to talk about pedagogy, so they get that sort of pedagogical understanding and pedagogical thinking and be able to enact the new curriculum. And finally, then the SLO support, the schools as learning organisation and support and promotion across the cluster. So we promote, use of the survey, but also not just the survey, how we use that survey within our schools to look for school improvement opportunities and to help support our self-evaluation. Right, so they are things we want you to promote and engage, as I said. Okay, there's a stop and think now. We've gone through an awful lot there, all the way from myself starting with the meetings every half term, through to National Professional Inquiry, through the teaching assistants that Rachel went on about, through the NQTs and EV role there. So we've got a lot of things that we've gone through, and we'll probably reach cognitive load here. So any questions or thumbs up, anything that sort of wasn't clear that we've said, please.
You just made me smile, Dan, when you said went on about. I hope we haven't gone on about things too much for people.
Oh, apologies. I didn't mean that. I meant it in the nicest way. We're just going to say I go on about things all the time.
Thanks, Dan. So what we want to do really now is to unpick the kind of roles and responsibilities that your school will have in terms of how perhaps you access professional learning yourselves, through to if you're a lead school or you're supporting the development and the facilitation of sessions, and then our role as the EAS, so looking at the roles and responsibilities across the system really. So as a lead partner or associate school, it is really important that you get involved in the programmes that are being run yourselves, so that your staff have access to all of these programmes, and that you can really sort of be the advocate for these programmes within the clusters that you're supporting as well. So you understand perhaps what the commitment is to these programmes, what the coverage is in terms of the engagement levels, and how staff are finding the programmes. So you've got that kind of real life feedback to share. So if you are a participant in any of the programmes, or your staff are, we just expect that you do attend all the dates of the programmes. We know this can be difficult given all of the pressures that schools are currently facing. Lots of our programmes have multiple dates. We can try and fit around you. They're recorded, some of the sessions, some are synchronous, some are asynchronous. We can look at all the ways in which we can try and support you to attend those sessions. And also, try and reflect on your engagement in those sessions. Everybody has access to their professional learning passport, or you may have something you use within your own school, but reflect on the sessions and how you're going to develop following those sessions, as well as completing those intersessional tasks to make sure you get the most from everything that you're engaging with. Then in terms of you as the lead school or the associate or partner school that is supporting the facilitation of those sessions, as facilitators, you need to familiarise yourself with the range of tools that may support the session. Make sure you're confident in using those tools that are going to be used during the sessions, and making sure that we are supporting that national mission and providing a strong partnership between the EAS and the schools in delivering and facilitating these sessions. That you are engaged in national and regional professional learning events. So as a lead school, you're attending those events and perhaps engaging when we're asking for schools to share their experiences. And again, tracking that professional learning impact. So you're looking at the impact you've had perhaps within your own setting, but across your cluster as well, and wider networks that you're involved in. And finally, supporting your allocated cluster for them to engage in all of the sessions that are on offer, so that these messages are reaching all of the schools across our region. And then as an EAS, we can provide you with technical support in terms of using Teams. I know lots of you are very familiar with Teams now after the past 18 months or so, but we can support that enactment of the national mission and facilitate with movement of Welsh Government grants to release professional learning and support the curriculum reform. We're working to develop the professional learning of the workforce in terms of all of our new curriculum sessions, and supporting you as schools to design and shape the professional learning offer moving forward. So we will liaise with all stakeholders across Wales to make sure that you as schools have what you need moving forward. So that's just a quick run through of the roles and responsibilities there. Kerry, I can see there you've got a question in the chat regarding EV training. The EV offer is open to everybody. So if you're an experienced EV, you need to attend an update session, a 1 hour update session. If you're a new EV, you'll have to attend the 2 hour session. So it's an offer that's open to everybody. So you can train as many EVs as a school as you'd like to. And I'm handing back to Dan now, I think. Thank you.
So the next few slides are just about the national context, and we won't be firstly going to learn everything from us in this session, but just a quite quick overview of the national context. And for the facilitation, I've moved my slides up because I've got to jump to a 10 o'clock meeting as well, that a lot of people have got to go to the NSCR meeting. So next slide, please, Adelaide. Hopefully it's updated on yours. I've moved them. Yes. So the national and regional picture. As facilitators, professional is important to good professional knowledge. There's links here to provide a starting point. The Welsh Curriculum blog, it's a good place to read. The DISC newsletter, if you haven't signed up for that, it sends you an email with the updates from Welsh Government. Estyn guidance. Of course, we've gone over our supporting our schools website. That's really where we really want to direct all our traffic moving forward. And the professional learning journey, which Hannah will allude to more later on. Just before I jump to the next meeting, the next slide, please, Adelaide, which I'm actually going to now, and I know several people have got to go to John Frost and Chepstow, for example. The National Strategy for Educational Research and Inquiry, this is a new something that's been launched. Actually, there's a meeting happening at 10 o'clock for some schools that are involved with that. And it's about developing how we in Wales can really get research into our schools. It's a strategy that David Egan has been working with the Welsh Government. And when we say research and inquiry, we mean that research is, as it says at the bottom there, this is why we both have the development. We're focusing on enabling practitioners to be both consumers of high quality research, so we read research, and producers of professional inquiry, so that we inquire how that works within our setting. And this is the reason why we both research and inquiry are including the strategy, so that the approach we take in Wales is inclusive and close to practice. So there's real links there with NPEP and moving the session forward. I do apologise, I've got to jump to the national that meeting, as I said, but I'm sure Hannah, who I'm passing on to next, will allude more about the professional learning journey. Thanks all.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so in terms of your own professional learning journey, you are doing a huge amount in terms of supporting these professional learning programmes and also supporting your professional journey yourself. So it's just to remind you really that you have got access to your individual professional learning plan on your PLP. Every practitioner in Wales has access to this, so you can log into your EWC site. And just a reminder that it may be a really good reflection tool for you in terms of, just keeping a record and looking back on your progress as an individual in terms of your journey. So just to remind you that that is a tool that is available to you as a practitioner and to all of your staff members as well that are teachers within Wales. And I think I'm handing over to Adelaide, who's just going, oh, sorry, Rachel is going to take you through the SLO information.
Thanks, Ham. Again, just to flag this up really, for you to have a good understanding of the SLO model yourselves, for your own schools and for schools that you might be supporting, and also for you to reference it where appropriate when you're facilitating professional learning. I know Adelaide showed you on the Supporting Our Schools website, there's a whole page allocated to SLO. It talks a little bit about the 7 dimensions, obviously included, and it shows how to access the survey, and it shows how to access the results, the reports that you can get once the survey's been completed. And there's also on the website page 2 workshops playlists, links to workshops that you can share with staff and share with staff across the cluster if they need that bit of recap on the SLO. But just for you to be aware that we do reference the Schools as Learning Organisations survey quite a lot when we're facilitating professional learning, and for you to be able to do the same. Thanks. I think I'm handing over to Adelaide.
Indeed, thank you. So for me, it's just to signpost to you just awareness raising. I'm sure you're probably already aware of it, but the National Approach to Professional Learning, or the NAPL as it's sometimes known. And in terms of our approach to professional learning, everything that we do is underpinned by the principles of that as well. At the moment, all professional learning has moved to a blended approach, accelerated, I think, in the last year, but that was the direction that the NAPL was taking in terms of that approach anyway. But in some cases, as it says on there, sometimes that is a web-based approach at the moment. Obviously, when things change and adapt, the blend will change and adapt with that really, but it's just awareness raising from that perspective. So just going to take a quick moment to do a stop and think. And just ask if there's anybody who wants to reflect on anything we've just shared in that little section, or wants to ask any questions. The only thing I was going to say I did pop into the chat is don't forget to keep your NOA updated. So when Hannah was talking about tracking of PL, so all of the things that you undertake or do as a school in terms of your context as a professional lead school, just don't forget to keep that NOA updated. And if you want us to run through a session on the NOA and how to access it and what to do, we're going to stop and think right at the end, just to give you an opportunity to let us know what other induction aspects you might benefit from going forward. So as I explained earlier, the work that you undertake is on behalf of the EAS. You'll be supporting our values underpinned by the work that you're doing, and you're representing the EAS in that sense. So in a similar vein, you're also representing the EAS in terms of any policies or things that you need to be aware of, particularly if you're facilitating or delivering anything. So just some things that we wanted to touch upon really. Just a reminder about GDPR and sort of copyright, and just making sure that there's compliance in terms of with legislation around these things. So any materials that are used as part of LLS delivered or any PL that you are delivering just should be compliant with any of the applicable laws around that. So materials shouldn't be shared which breach any copyright, and obviously without any permission. Again, that any material shared should comply with anybody's individual rights under GDPR, so individual pictures or work shouldn't be shared, again, unless the required permissions are in place. And it is permissible to signpost materials publicly available. So, for example, if it's a public-facing website or YouTube videos or all of those kind of things, that's okay to be signposting to all of those kind of aspects. But it's just for you to be mindful of that, really, when you're delivering anything or undertaking any work on behalf of the EAS. And then Hannah's going to just take you through the safeguarding protocols around any of the work that you do as well.
Yeah, thank you. So just to make you aware who the designated senior person is for safeguarding within the EAS, and it is Kath Bevan, and Ed Price will deputise when she's not available. So if you do have any safeguarding concerns, the contact details are on that slide for you. And please, either in the first instance, you need to contact them as soon as possible, really. And in addition, then there will be written records required. I'm sure you have these safeguarding measures within your own institutions, but it's just making you aware of, if you are working and supporting the EAS, these are our designated people that will need to be included when you are, will need to be your point of contact, really, when you are finding that you have concerns moving forward. So on the next slide, if you do have concerns and you need to contact either Kath or Ed in Kath's absence, there is a recording and reporting concern procedure, and that you can see on your screen there. So if a concern from a child through a disclosure or observation, you can listen to that disclosure, you can share with the school-based designated safeguarding person, and then complete the EAS safeguarding form, and let Kath know as early as possible, really, so as soon as possible after that disclosure. And then the same in terms of an allegation against an adult in a position of trust. So if you have made an observation or a disclosure regarding the conduct of a person in trust, you need to share that with the school-based designated safeguarding person and complete the EAS safeguarding form as soon as possible. And this must be sent then to Kath or Ed in Kath's absence as soon as possible. The form can be found on the next slide, and there's a link to the form there. So I'm sure it looks very similar to many of your schools' safeguarding forms, but you will find the link on this PowerPoint, and we will share the link with you after today's session. So if you do have any concerns, please do record and report them straight away, and flag them to Kath and Ed in Kath's absence. So this is our final stop and think, and I'm going to hand you back to Adelaide just to close really today's session and gather any final thoughts that you may have.
Yes, so hopefully we've kept it within an hour and 10 minutes, so hopefully it's not been too much for you to take in, but hopefully it's just been a useful induction into the role as a PL school. It's wonderful to have you on board, and we're really looking forward to working with you. And if you're here for a refresher, I hope it's been a useful refresher for you too. We just wanted to take this opportunity to just have a stop, think if there are any further questions or observations about any of the things that we've talked about in the last hour or so. And then just a what do you need next, an opportunity for you to say, actually, I'd really like a bit more on using a NOAA, for example, or I'd like a bit more on facilitating and how we go about doing that. So if there's any other, or if there are any other topics or areas that you'd like us to run another induction session on, pop your mic off mute and let us know, or if you want to pop that into the chat as well. Be great for you to share that there, and then as a team we can take that thought and then make sure that we put in place anything further that will support you in your role as a professional learning lead. And yeah, just to say thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, hope it's been a useful overview. Please drop us any emails or anything, any further questions, and we'll be in touch with a date to go through NOAAs with you in the next 2 weeks, I would say, because we want to get those underway for you. So brilliant, thank you so much. Thank you. Have a lovely rest of your Friday. Hope it's a great day.